And we also have different types of agriculture. And as we support all that, that'll also be really good for the community.
All right, so I guess we've got some more people on. I'm sure people will still continue to join. It's kind of that hard time in the day where people are still jumping off of work and trying to get online. So I'll just kind of start out with the intro and kind of go over what we've done so far and what the meeting will look like today. So basically we've had 2 meetings so far. They've both been introductory meetings, kind of discussing like, you know, what the goal is basically to get different stakeholders from the different sectors and from the different islands to come together to help make sure that any proposed legislation that we put forward as a group is going to be beneficial for everybody, that we have that feedback to make sure we're, you know, touching on all the points that need to be touched on and addressing all the issues as best as possible, and then also putting forward a strategic plan that's community supported to kind of help guide the direction of the department, and a proposed budget from the first year of the strategic plan. We feel that if this is community supported with various input from the different stakeholders, it will be a nice, bridge with the administration to kind of help them, because establishing a new department in the middle of a pandemic without, a lot of help is difficult. So, since, the agriculture community voted and wanted this and the community wanted it, it's an important part for the community and the ag community to kind of step up and help with that process too. So that's kind of what we're doing. So the first meeting was just kind of an initial send out of people that we could think of that are operating in the ag sector. And then those folks suggested more people, and we did a second round of invitations and pulled even more people on. So that was the second meeting. And then this meeting, we got people that were able to step up and do the steering committee, which is a little bit more commitment, and co-chairs that are able to volunteer. So we've got names of those folks. So this meeting will hopefully allow us to kind of learn a little bit more about them, vote on that. We'll take a look at the ground rules and see if there's anything that the group at large wants to add or doesn't feel like is appropriate. And then we're going to start the process of basically identifying what the needs, barriers, and issues are in the different sectors and on the different islands. So basically I'll have everybody go into breakout groups, and we have about 13 topics total. So we'll take on a topic each time, and we'll do about 10 minutes per topic. So in your breakout group, you guys will kind of just get everything out. So we're not caring about spelling or grammar or anything like that. Whether it's a small issue or a big issue, whether it's personal or systemic, like we just want to get as many issues out on the table. So during this process, I don't want anybody, and I'll go over this again, I don't want anybody to offer up solutions or say, oh, did you know that so-and-so addresses this, or we're taking care of this. We want to just get everything out on the table. And so we'll do about half of the topics today and then half the topics in the next meeting, so that we can really just get as much down on paper as possible. And then from there, we'll kind of organize it and have that put out. And then from there, I'm hoping that we can put out surveys to the community to make sure that we get a broader input too, to make sure that those topics that we, make a little bit more solid are actually meeting all of the issues, and they're addressing everything and we're getting everything. And then from there, we'll start looking at what is being done in the community to address those issues. So we will address that part, just not today in the next meeting. What's already being done, what are the initiatives, what are the efforts? And then from there, we'll kind of see what needs support, where the gaps are and things like that. And then we can start to kind of prioritize and see what the greatest needs are across the different islands of different sectors. Does anybody have questions on that part? No? Anybody can speak up or unmute or in chat too. Okay, so then I guess we'll go ahead and let's see, how many people do we have on right now? We've got about 17 different participants. So maybe we'll just go over the ground rules first, because that's something people can always weigh on again if they come in a little bit late. Has anybody had a chance to look over the ground rules so far? Sorry. Yes. Does anybody have any questions or suggestions on them? I'm going to pull them up. Okay. That way everybody can see them too. Okay, 1 second. I share my screen. So we'll go down here. Okay, so this is what we've got so far. So stay curious and use open-ended questions. So rather than using pointed questions, make them actual questions, you know, that you're actually willing to hear the answer on, rather than guiding somebody into kind of like insinuating something. Listen in here to understand, not to respond, and don't speak over people. If something that is brought up feels threatening, resist the urge to shoot the idea down. Instead, be open with the potential unintended consequences, and ask for ideas to mitigate or avoid the unintended consequences. I think everybody here has a really, you know, true desire to help the community and ag sector. So I don't think anybody's coming with anything malicious. However, I do think that there are some things that they may not realize might create an unintended consequence. So we need to kind of keep in that mind frame so that we're making sure that we stay open and collaborative. If you're representing part of the agricultural sector and overall community, speak up for them, not just for you. So if you are representing a business and a sector or a demographic within the ag sector, you have to make sure that you're weighing that and making sure that you're not just speaking up for yourself, but for the overall community. Treat this as you would a job, maintain professionalism, show respect for fellow members, review materials in advance, and contribute to the workload. So depending on what you decide to sign up for, making sure that you're following through with that commitment. We are all busy, we're all volunteers, but if you sign up for something and then you don't follow through, it creates more work for other people. So we just want to be respectful of everybody's time. Everything that happens in this group is fully shareable outside of it too. So act transparently. This is a community effort. This is grassroots. So we want to make sure that we're not doing anything that jeopardizes that, or can leave a bad taste, I guess. Expect and accept a lack of closure. There's a lot of trauma in the ag sector. We're not going to be able to solve all of it. We're just kind of putting forward the ideas and the wishes of the community. But ultimately, the department will be under the mayor's control, the administration, to implement. So, this is kind of working to solve complex challenges and, foster an open dialogue. And it's kind of like a process throughout time, and it's going to take time. So just know that we're not going to solve everything overnight or even within this year, and find a way to be understanding of that. And then also be proud that you're helping to create a system that will change the future of Maui for the better. That's kind of something we all should take pride in, because this is going to be a lot of extra work on your plates and time and dedication. So keeping that in mind will help keep a positive attitude. So that's kind of what we have so far. Does anybody have anything that they want to add or feel like was missed? You can unmute yourself if you want, or use chat. That everybody feels like that covers it then? Okay. Okay, I'm getting thumbs up. Okay, awesome. So I kind of want to hear back from everybody. It looks like we have about 17 participants on right now. There should be a lot more, even more that signed up for the steering committee. So between the steering committee and the co-chairs, we had about 17 people sign up. So originally we wanted to shoot for a maximum of 10 on the steering committee and then a maximum of 5 co-chairs, but I think that's pretty close. And so I don't know how the group feels about just letting everybody that wanted to participate in the steering and co-chair positions participate, or if you guys want to go to a vote. It's kind of up to you guys. I mean, we said we would do a vote, but if there's, you know, if there's just 17 total, I think between co-chairs and steering committee, that's a decent amount to work with. So if you guys want to go off mute and have a discussion about it, we can definitely do that. And definitely open.
17 is a good starting number. I mean, will more people want to come and join it? They may be, and maybe some people might want to go in a different direction.
Yeah, so 17 was just that signed up to participate in the steering and co-chair. Then we also had a lot of people that signed up to be like group members and advisors and then community partners. So they wanted to participate in a different way, but didn't necessarily want to sit on the steering committee or on the co-chair. I did reach out to some folks to make sure that we did have representation on the other islands and, you know, things like that. So we did get representation from Molokai and Lanai. I can kind of go and read the list of who said that they would be able to volunteer. And that way you guys have an idea. So Alika Atai, Annie Alvarado, Bobby Pahia, David Embry, Gary Albiot, Gary Ross, Gretchen Lozano, Jamie Ronzello, Poonohi de Lima Lee, Keamoku Kapu, Lauren Lore, Makalea Dudua, and Nate Oswald, Reba O'Day, Scott Crawford, Stephen Phillips, William Greenleaf, and William Jacinto. So I think it's a really good group of people with a lot of experience and different diversified backgrounds and representation. And I sent the list out via email. And then we just had a few more people sign up after that kind of put us over, because I think it was like at 13 or 14 when I originally sent the list out. So I have it in a survey if we want to do a survey and take a vote, or if you guys have.
Hey, Jennifer, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can you talk about the difference of the co-chair versus the steering committee, and like what would be required? Because I was just worried about if the steering committee would be way more than the co-chair.
The steering committee is going to be a little bit more of like sitting down in a group, like it would be virtual, of course, but like actually looking at the language within the legislation to making sure that all of the interests of the different communities and sectors are represented. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have policy. You just have to like keep in mind and be able to bring that information back, you know, keep in mind of the different like nuances with language in legislation, and then take that information and, you know, bring it back to your communities and your sectors to make sure that we're getting input. The co-chair position is similar. You would help with the meetings and, you know, come to the meetings, but you'd be more of like a facilitator, bringing information back and forth between the group at large and the community to the steering committee. So it would still be, you know, highly involved and contributing time and effort and being a part of that discussion, but it would be more of like a liaison type role. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Thank you.
I think if you were shooting for 15, then having the 17 people start off is kind of a good number, because you'll kind of like matriculate out, and some people might not be able to commit as much, and the numbers will come down a little bit. So I think it's a good starting point.
I think so too, but I just want to make sure I give everybody a chance to weigh in. If people are like, no, I want to take a vote, and make sure, that, we do that. That was the original process. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody's okay with it.
I actually wanted to, I mean, it kind of fits into what we're talking about right now, maybe like adding extra committee members later or. So the mayor had actually tasked Carrie Kapoy and the Office of Economic Development to kind of do something like this already and create like an advisory working group. And so I had advised that they actually participate in this one instead of doing a duplicate one and reaching out to the same people and trying to get the same group to do the same tasks. So just kind of flagging that for the group, that hopefully we can bring those two initiatives together and maybe just have Carrie Kapoy and Joanne Inamasu and Kaeo, the ag coordinator, kind of participate in a larger part here, so that this really can be a joint effort and not like, two separate initiatives.
Yeah, I think that's super important to make it a joint effort. I just want to make sure that, because it's a community effort, we want to make sure that the community has the freedom to say what they want without being put in a box. And sometimes when you have people that work at the county, because it hasn't been done like that before, sometimes there seems to be limitations on what we feel can happen. So I think that's the only concern that I could see, but I definitely think it's beneficial, and working together is super important. So finding a way that works is absolutely a goal.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, and I appreciate like how this group is set up and like how you organize like rules on discussions and all that stuff. And I think that's kind of why the mayor had tasked Carrie Kapoy to do kind of her same community outreach kind of model that she did for the CARES funding. And so I just wanted to flag that for you guys initially, so that we can have those discussions if the two advisory groups align, and it should be one. And then also like setting up this group for success, like it is like a new way of formulating a department. And so traditionally departments are, the director is selected by the mayor, approved by the council, and then that department director creates all of the things that this group is looking to create. And so if there is synergy between community groups and staff that are part of the administration and part of the department with the same values, that it's not going to be run by the county staff, it could be a good synergy. So just wanted to bring that into the conversation in the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. Does anybody else have anything they want to say on that? Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I think the 17 is a good number to start with. As Bill mentioned, it'll probably get whittled down by participation, and there'll be a core group that's ready to rock and roll. And, I wouldn't feel comfortable voting because I actually don't know everyone that's on there. And even if we did 5-minute or 2-minute or 1-minute intros, I don't think that would be enough to give me the information to make an acknowledgeable, vote. So I think we go with who's there right now and see what ends up being the core group as a result of that.
Awesome. Anyone else want to speak on it?
I agree with Jerry.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm typing in the list for the chat box so you guys can all see who the 17 are. I had them written into a survey, so I'm trying to get that sent over, but it wouldn't copy out the survey. But yeah, okay, so I guess we can just kind of put that to a vote that we're okay with the 17, and I'll finish typing that. I guess anybody that objects to that And can you speak up and say why? Sorry, you guys. I'm trying to type and. Bear with me. I'm almost done.
Can we call ourselves the Magnificent 17 as a take on the, what was it? The Magnificent Seven, which was actually from a movie about the Seven Samurai.
I think you guys can call yourselves whatever you want. Yeah, we can definitely give it a fun name. I definitely want to keep it interesting and, you know, fun, because this is, you know, we have to keep some humor in it. Otherwise, we can lose our minds. So, okay.
That means somebody can drop out, though. We have to keep it at 17.
Perfect. I like that even better. Okay, I'm almost done typing the names, and then I'll send that through the group chat so everybody can see.
So do we have anyone in this group of 17 today that is from Lanai?
David Embry was supposed to be on. I don't know where he's at, but he has said that he would step up for Lanai, and he works with
Okay,
a lot of
So
different
I just want to
partners.
make sure he is. I had a really good talk with him and I love what he's doing. Okay, thanks. Great.
Okay, so I sent the list of everyone. And then we have quite a few community partners that have signed on to help out. They won't be able to make every meeting, but they're definitely willing to support. One of the most recent ones is Jonathan Strenger from Kamehameha Schools. And he's working with UHMC to do the Hula Hia, I think it's like academy or project within UHMC that's going to be all about sustainable systems and system support. And so they might possibly help with the initiatives mapping. So like when we get to the point of like where we're putting all these issues down on paper to help map who's currently addressing all of those issues, or what issues are being addressed and what's not being addressed, and the data for each of those organizations, programs, or initiatives, which will be super helpful in the long run for the community and, you know, everyone, because a lot of the times it's finding finding that help or finding those programs or initiatives that are meant to help, but people don't know about, and then getting them support. So I think.
Oh, so Jennifer, this is
yeah.
Lane again. Hello, everybody. This is Lane. So no, I'm not signing up to be on the steering committee. I am listening in, and I've already talked to Jennifer about my role. I need to be a community partner in terms of a role. So that is the role that I will play, as community partners. So essentially, if we're talking about voting for steering committee co-chairs, we're 16 in number, not 17. Right?
Did I put your name down?
I don't know. I can't see this.
Oh, I put it in chat. No, I don't have you on there. We still have 17.
Okay, I apologize.
No worries.
Unfortunately, I'm going to shut up.
There's no need to shut up. Okay, so I think from here, we can just kind of start doing the brain dumps of the issues. And this is going to be, you know, just a chance for you guys to, you know, look at the different sectors. I'm going to share my screen with each issue that I've already kind of sorry, not issue. There's basically 13 sectors that we had originally looked at in the first drafts of the charter amendment. I'm sorry, what's going on? So we're just gonna go ahead and start, and I'll go over the first issue and kind of just show you how I brain dumped in this Excel spreadsheet, and then we'll separate into breakout groups. So it's automatically gonna put us into equal rooms. And in that room, you'll just have the discussion with the people that you're in the room with. And one of you guys hopefully can take some notes and jot down the ideas. So within a breakout room, kind of decide who's open to taking notes, and then maybe even speaking on that when we come back out to meet with the bigger group at large. So we'll do about 8 minutes in the groups. I'll give you guys a minute to wrap up, and then we'll kind of come out and share that list in a larger group. Does that make sense to everybody?
Do you have that document in like a Google Drive or something so that we can just put it in there? You don't have to take notes after us. We can take our own notes.
Yeah, you
there?
can. I just wasn't sure if everybody felt comfortable with that, but I can definitely, I'll put the link in the chat right now. And then I'll share my screen with it too, so that we can kind of go over just like get the, I guess you guys can do that within your groups, as long as everybody has someone in their group that feels comfortable with Google Docs and operating that. So I guess I'll pop in between the groups to make sure that there is somebody right away, and then give you guys some time to work on that. And then it looks like we're gonna have people popping in as the meeting goes. Does everybody feel comfortable explaining if somebody joins the meeting to kind of explain what's going on? Is there anybody that doesn't understand what we're gonna do? No? Okay.
I have a question, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, as you're dividing people up, I thought that we were going to be like, if we said, because I basically follow what Bobby was doing, so I wanted to make sure that he has support, for whatever he needs. But I heard him say yesterday that he was interested in the steering committee, and so my question to you is, if you signed up for, if you have interest in the three things, like co-chair, steering committee, and the other committee, I can't remember what the third one is. Do you self-select off of that, or do how do you serve on three? I mean, I thought we would be divided up, and prioritized, or do we serve automatically on all the places that we said yes? That's why I said I'm happy to reduce my involvement so that I can focus and be effective. But so it's just a question in terms of process.
Yeah. I think, this meeting, we were just kind of establishing whether we wanted to take a vote and eliminate or not. We did have quite a few people that said that they would be either co-chairs or the steering committee. So, that will just depend on them, whether they want to say, yeah, actually, I would be happy to step into a co-chair position, or I want to be on the steering committee. But I think, I think we had 7 or 8 people say they would be either steering committee or co-chair. So I think between the group, we can kind of work that out to see where everybody's level of involvement, whether steering committee or co-chair is, kind of in between this meeting and the next meeting. Since we don't need to take a vote and everybody's able to just go forward and do one or the other. Does that
Great.
sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Thank you.
Okay. And then I sent the link in the chat for the Google Doc. And I'm gonna share my screen, and we'll just kind of go over the first portion. Okay, so we've got aquaculture is the first one. And so maybe everybody's not familiar with that, but there may be some people in your group that are familiar with it. So I just kind of dumped things that I had feedback from different folks working with aquaponics systems or fishermen, and then local EO groups too. So like access to heavy equipment, need for to develop fisheries, invasive species management, pollution contamination, lack of funding, lack of workers. So these, you can see that some of these are very broad, and then you can get down into even like policy if there's a specific administrative rule that affects that sector or something like that. So we just want to brain dump all of the issues that we can for the aquaculture one first, and then we'll keep moving on, but we'll do this one first. So we'll have 10 minutes to talk with our groups and just start sharing the issues, barriers, and needs within the different sectors. So we'll start with this one, and then we'll have 10 minutes, and then we'll go on to the next one and the next tab and the next tab. And we'll get through 7 today, and then we'll do the following 6 at the next meeting. And so this way you'll have the link to the Google Doc. So if you leave this meeting and you think of something, you can still go back, add it in the Google Doc. Or if you go back and talk with your groups or the people that you work with and you're like, oh, we completely spaced that, you still have it. So this will be a good way for us to just get all of the issues down and compiled. Okay, so we will go ahead and start the breakout group one. So we have, I'm gonna do.
Oh, I have a question real quick, Jen, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I was reading through the different things and I missed which, we're talking about the first one? Are we talking about Ahupua'a right now? Is that the first
Aquaculture.
one we're
So
doing?
I was gonna do Ahupua'a, but I
Oh.
put it with water because I was like, I feel like it, yeah.
Okay.
That way, you know, people won't feel so like they may not know how to talk about it. And there's so many issues with water within the Ahupua'a and land management that I
Yeah.
figured it can kind of overlap several different issues. So I'm gonna delete that tab, but I do have issues with the Ahupua'a in water, so we'll talk about it there. Okay, so I'm going to create 4 breakout rooms. So there'll be 4 to 5 participants in each breakout room. And then I'll go and check on everybody to make sure that there is at least one person that is familiar with Google Docs. And you guys can kind of just start working on your brain dump for all of the issues, needs, barriers, and concerns. Okay. Okay, so you should have gotten an invite to join your breakout group. Sorry, guys, I pulled you guys back in. I was taking notes for one of the groups. So next time, if there's anybody that feels that they could switch out of their group and help out with another group, then I can kind of go back and forth and give a little bit more warning. How did everybody feel like that went?
Pretty good. I would say that you might want to divide the sections out so people address, if there's a different group, we do address the first 4 or the last 4 or something.
Okay,
Instead of
I
everybody
just
trying to do
took
everything.
notes in a different document, and then that
Yeah.
way I can send it or compile it. If you guys want to use the Google Doc, you can
Yeah, we did.
make another sheet or something too.
We did.
But
we did.
yeah, okay. Yeah, it's kind of hard to type all in the Google Doc at once. That's why I wasn't.
I'm good with that. I can do that.
So the next topic is economy. So this is a pretty big one, but it affects all of us. So when you're thinking about issues with the economy, we're thinking about like workforce development or limitations, or how our current economy is set up that's affecting negative, the agricultural sector negatively, things like that. So you can put anything really that would go under this or not under this. And don't worry about duplicating things, because we're going to flush all of it out at the end. It really is just kind of getting everything down. So do you guys want to go over the stuff as a group, or do you guys just want to move on to the next thing?
I had one comment that I wanted to bring up since we started talking about ahupua'a, because it was one of the categories. I think that we need to incorporate ahupua'a into all of these categories, because that is, why do I see just only myself really big? I don't like that. What is that? Can you make that go away, Jen, please?
I think it just does that when you're speaking, but you can change your view.
I'll just like
Change your own view. Hit the view button and put panel or something. You're at speaker view. But you're beautiful.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, so yeah, I was just thinking, I think it's really important to just have the ahupua'a awareness in most of these categories. And I think that would be.
Yeah, please don't feel limited. Like, don't feel like, oh, maybe this doesn't feel like this category. Just put it in. Anything that you feel like would be addressed in this category or the next category, even if you say the same thing in every single tab. All that does is let us know that that's a concern across all sectors. So, repetition at this point is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So yeah, feel free to do that and incorporate it however you want. Jerry?
Yeah, I had a question. I guess I'm kind of confused, that's sort of a normal state. But so we just had a breakout session, and I was invited, and there was only 4 of us in there, and none of us have a strong suit in aquaponics. So why were we there, and what was everyone else doing who potentially knows as much or more about aquaponics while the 4 of us were talking about it?
Everybody was doing aquaponics.
Oh, okay. But I only saw 4 of us?
Yeah, because I split you guys into separate groups just so that the conversation is more manageable.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I
So
got it.
everybody's still addressing all the
Very
topics.
clever.
Yeah. No worries.
Heck, I was confused. I didn't even know it.
So Jennifer, again, I would suggest that not everybody try to address all the topics. So group 1 does 1 and 2, group 2 does 3 and 4 sort of thing. It'll help focus them.
I would prefer that every group does every topic,
Because
because
then we'll never get to the bottom of them. We'll spend all the time on the top 2.
well,
I like that we're all doing the same topics, and it kind of, even though you feel like you don't have expertise in a certain field, it really does help to speak to the perceived barriers. Like, what
Yeah.
do you think that is the barriers to entering that field or what's out there? So I appreciate, even though you don't think that you know about that topic.
I would
Yeah.
agree. I would just say maybe we don't need as long of a time. And I don't know if everybody else felt that way. If we felt like it was really nice because I got to like get to know some of the folks on here that I didn't know. But at a certain point, if we don't know anything about that topic, there's a lot of lag time. So maybe if everybody in all the different breakout groups were feeling that it was too late, maybe we could shorten the length of time in each room. And then we'll move through it a little bit quicker. Because Jennifer, if you started that list already, you already brain dumped like not almost everything, but I was just kind of like, well, that's on there. You know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's already on there. So
yeah, so I did put a lot of stuff that I had received from feedback from talking to people and through this whole process, I brain dumped that just to kind of show and get that conversation started. I by no means know everything. The other part of this process is that when you're reading these lists and when you're having these discussions, if you don't know about it, it's a wonderful opportunity to learn more about it. So if you have some extra time in your group and you didn't know about something, try to take that time to learn a little bit more in depth, especially if you're working towards sitting on the steering committee or co-chair, or if you're a community partner or group advisor, on why that is, or learning a little bit more about it. I mean, we're only going about 10 minutes with each topic, which really isn't that much time because these are huge topics. Aquaculture is kind of an off-center one because when people think about aquaculture, they're thinking about maybe aquaponics. But, you know, we also can look at like our coral reefs. Coral reef planting and clearing out of invasive species is also part of aquaculture. And that's a very viable industry. It's a very viable career path for our students. It can help our ecosystems. It can help our, just so many things in Maui. So, you know, it's an opportunity to learn about these different sectors, the issues that are going on within them, at the same time as you are kind of brain dumping. You're hearing from other people, oh, I didn't even realize that was an issue, or I didn't even think that that was part of aquaculture. You know, it's an opportunity to learn just as much as it is to get, the grievances out. Does that make sense for everyone?
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I don't know because I actually had this question because I was like, so Lo'ikalo is aquaculture, and our rich history of incredible irrigation systems in Hawaii is very much relevant to this conversation. So don't forget Lo'ikalo aquaculture.
Yep. Yeah, local IA, and they had different systems within waterways for aquaculture too. So there's really so much that it encompasses. So it's a learning experience. It's that building that knowledge and the conversation and understanding, what the other sectors are facing as far as barriers, concerns, and needs as well. So bear with me. I know it's kind of like frustrating when it's not your topic, but I promise it helps in the long run. Okay, so we will do another breakout session. Is there someone that was in a group before that may feel comfortable to switch to another group and help with notes? Like you felt your group was okay and you might be able, we had a group with some gentlemen that were having a harder time taking notes.
I can take notes.
You can take notes, Gary. Is there someone else that was in your group that will be able to fill in for you? Because you were taking notes before, yeah?
Yeah, ask them.
I can try. I'm basically listening most of the time anyway.
Okay. All right. I am going to start another breakout session. So this next one will be economy. Yeah, just as much as you can. It's a good time to have discussions and learn more. So we'll do 10 minutes. So we'll come back in at 6:13. If you finish early and you're just really done, grab some water or use the lua. All right.
Glass of wine.
Right. That too, it's Friday night. Okay, here we go.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so everybody should have gotten an invite. Did everybody get enough time on that one? See, some of them are going to be probably a little bit more conversation spurring than the other one. Did everybody feel like that was enough time or not enough time?
Good.
Good. Okay. So for those of you that are keeping notes on separate sheets, go ahead and keep them going. The ones that are making tabs, I'm moving those into the tabs so that we can grab all that. And then afterwards, you guys can send me your notes too. So we'll have that all compiled for the next meeting. So the next topic is going to be farming. So this one should be, do we think 10 minutes is long enough for this, or do we want some more time? Okay, go maybe 15 minutes and see where we're at there, and I'll check in on the groups. Okay, so I will split you guys back up into groups and we will start on farming. Wait a minute. Bobby, I think joined in, so whoever gets him, can you guys explain what's going on to him too, please? Yeah, and then make sure that you have someone taking notes. I'll double check in, but we'll just keep it going. Okay, here we go. How are you guys doing?
Our room said there was 22 seconds left, and then we all got pulled into here, right
Put
in
it
the middle.
out. Oh no. Okay.
That's all right.
Do you guys want more time? I know farming is a huge topic. Do we feel like we got enough time, or?
Can I ask Makalea? We were talking about deer and they wanted clarification about the deer project. If you don't mind, I know that Makalea knows, so I'm gonna ask her if she don't mind answering that.
Well, that was a conversation we were having, was about the deer. Well, I guess, what's your question? That's a big topic.
I had told them that they were getting a veterinarian to approve, I guess, when hunters kill the deer. But I'm not sure how big is the project or where's the project now. Was it tested? How much product did they sell? Or where was it done? Only on Maui, or were the other islands also involved? Lanai, Molokai?
I'm not aware of a project that was testing that. I know Jake Muse had worked really hard to get a USDA representative on the island to certify the kills, and he also was instrumental in bringing a veterinarian to be stationed here. And so now that those people are on island, anybody who wants to get their meat certified can access those people, and it's more readily available. So that was a huge step. We were also talking about the funding that Department of Human Housing and Concerns had put out an RFP to collect, to get an assessment survey done. So Jake Muse had applied for that and was able to, he's gonna implement a survey to estimate the amount of deers on island. And then Jerry was talking about just like deer management in general, like that we have to, even though people don't, like subsistence hunters are leery about doing deer management, we need to keep the populations down so that we don't have situations like we did on Molokai where they just skyrocket out of control, and also in line with drought conditions. And so like each female deer can have two, I don't know what they're called, 2 babies a year. So in 1 year, your population can triple. So we need to have a good variety of management tools to be able to manage our deer population. There still needs to be room for subsistence hunting and maybe some hunting areas like DLNR hunting areas and hunting programs like there's on Lanai. But also you have to be okay with people being able to use deer as a commodity and build an economy off of it. So our local people can also tap into that economy and sell the meat, USDA meat. Is that good?
All right. Okay, so thank you for that. This is awesome. I'm bouncing in between the different groups, and the conversations are really, really good. And a lot of the ideas that are getting down on paper are super important. So thank you guys all. The next one we will go to is food insecurity. So you can address that from food security or insecurity or access, kind of all encompassing. So that's what we'll go to next. So I'll start the breakout rooms. I just want to make sure everybody's able to participate. I know that there's some folks on their phone and are in the groups. I just want to make sure that everybody's able to participate, or if there's any technical difficulties that they haven't been able to participate. I think, are we all?
Jennifer, you might need to reshare the Google Doc so everyone has access to it.
Yes.
Some new people didn't have
do
access.
that right now. Okay, I'm resharing it, just went into chat. I would suggest not typing directly in there. It's kind of hard to compete. You can either open a new tab or open a doc and just kind of unload, and then we can copy and paste into the sheet afterwards. Or if you want to write in the Google Doc, you can. I'm not going to stop anybody, but sometimes it's hard when there's multiple people typing. Did everybody get the link? So we'll go back to 10 minutes for food insecurity, food access. And then if we need more time, we can have more time. Okay, here we go. Bobby, can you hear me? How are we doing? Did everybody get enough time to finish? Yeah. Does anybody need to take a break and get water before we start the next round, or are we doing okay? I mean, you guys can also do that when you're in the sessions, but I just want to make sure that I check in with everybody. I know it's supposed to be long. So feel free to take breaks as you need and come back. But we're going to start the next breakout room then. And where are we at? So the next will be forestry. So we will go ahead and start that. All right, guys, how are we doing? We got two more. Can we make it? If not, we can stop after one more. I know this is a lot. And you guys have the link so that you guys can always go back in and add more things and rethink on it in your own time and share this information with the people that you work with and your networks to get more information. But I think these conversations are important to learn about each other, the issues within the different sectors, the lack of information, and then just about your fellow group members and how, you know, their perspectives are shaped on things as well. So we'll do at least one more and then we'll see how we feel after that. Is that okay? Because we were shooting for 7:30, but I feel like it's a lot of discussion and a lot of like brain work. So I just want to make sure everyone's okay. We'll do one more, and that is going to be funding. So this is a huge topic, I think, for every single sector there is. But maybe you can just kind of look at it from your own perspective and put out what issues, needs, barriers, or concerns is with funding. Okay, here we go.
Jennifer, you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm just talking away. No, I just wanted to say thank you guys all so much for your time and energy. I know that, you know, when I went in and did the brain dump in the different tabs, it's really exhausting because when you're thinking about problems, right? And that kind of is not such a great feeling, but it's really important to get those out, to make sure that everybody's feeling heard, to make sure that we're having that broad net pass, to make sure that we're getting all of that feedback. So basically the process from this is we'll continue this process with the other tabs. Hopefully, you know, the next meeting, there'll be more people that can join us. I realize it was a holiday today, and so that's happens. But we'll get more people that can join us. And then from these, we'll kind of condense this down to make a bigger survey to go out to the broader community too, so that we make sure that we're getting even more feedback and that the group is touching on all of those issues. But I think getting that from the folks that are in the field that are doing this work, it's important to kind of set up some of that framework so the community is not just like, okay, where do I even start? So we're going to kind of frame that for them and get that put into a survey, and that'll get an even wider net, more feedback, maybe even some things that we didn't even think of at all, which is, you know, awesome. And then from there, once we do that, then we'll start looking at how these issues are being currently addressed, what efforts are currently underway, what are the status of those efforts, do they need support, are there gaps, those kinds of things. And then from there, we'll be able to kind of really break down the legislation of what needs to be focused on by the department. So does anybody have any questions on the process? I know it's kind of unorthodox, it's different, but this is kind of the systems thinking, is where you throw it way out and then you pull it in and then you go out again and you continue having that feedback. So that you make sure that you're not getting unintended consequences or missing anything or not hearing people's voices, because all of that's super important.
Jennifer, a question?
Yeah.
There's a question in the breakout group. Have you guys started to think about what kind of budgetary numbers you're going to need?
So originally Shane said he was thinking around $1 million to ask for the department. Because that's kind of one of the lowest budgets for departments at the county, is around 700,000. I believe you can correct me if I'm wrong. But because you're taking into account capital improvement projects, you're taking into account staff and like overhead. And, you know, we have different islands that we need representation on. So that would be a low budget from the county. And then hopefully we can get a grant writer in this budget to start making that headway. And the more grants that we can get from other outside resources, the less this department becomes a burden, you know, like the less of a burden this department is on our taxpayers. And there is funding out there for that. So, you know, that's kind of the idea with the budget. But ultimately, this group is going to put forward a proposed budget. So if we're like, actually, bare minimum, it's 2 million, and we can verify and show how big of impact that will make, I don't think, you know, the county is going to be like, absolutely not, there, we said cut off there, but they need to see why that's important. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, they need to see why that's important and what impact that will make, and that's actually being fiscally responsible. Which I know that there's so many things that could be funded that would make huge impacts. So I don't think there's any shortage of things that we can do even in the first year that will make huge impacts. But yeah, we just need to show that and show the community support for that funding to be allocated for the department.
Right.
So this is me taking off my hat, putting it on the side. The best strategy is to get that funding in now in the current ag program. So then when the next year you have it, you just take it over and you put it in there. So there's not a huge gap in like increase in your ag program. So you have a lot of money in there right now that's being proposed. And so if you have a base, like the base of a typical department just for the directors and program staff and all that stuff is like like you said, $750,000. So that's, you're gonna need that as like your starting point, but put all of those like things that you want to do right now in, it's right now in Office of Economic Development. So then it doesn't look like you put tons of money and added so much stuff to the budget. Anyways, okay.
Does that answer your question, Gary?
Yeah, thanks.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments or feedback? I thank you all so much for your time. I know you guys look tired and you're like, wow, that was a brain exercise that maybe people weren't prepared for. But I hope you all learned a lot and learned about fellow group members and issues and you know, similarities and differences and, you know, where we all kind of fit into this conversation and who we, you know, need to keep talking to and things like that. So that's it from me, unless anybody else has any other questions, concerns, or anything. As always, I'm available, text, email, phone. Go ahead, William.
Just saying bye.
Oh, okay.
Lovely meeting. Wonderful meeting, Jennifer.
Thank you guys so much. All right, have a good night.
Thank
Good night.
you. Good night.
All right.
Thank you. Aloha.
Bye.